but it's kind of cold.
Welcome back to Civil Discourse Now. I'm Mark Small.
I'm Paul.
This is Groundhog's Day, February 2nd, 2013. We're streaming to you live from Aesop's Table, 600 East Mass Ave in Indianapolis, Indiana. We are on Indiana Talks, which is a really neat network. You can hit their donate button there to give money to the network so they can fund more shows. You can also buy my book. You can go to Amazon.com and buy $1 Billion Balls, which just was launched this week. It's a novel, satirical novel about the basketball tournament that's held every year. It's got the mob in it and a whole bunch of stuff.
I thought it was about something else.
Oh, no, that's it. That is double entendre. Our guest panelists here are Maya Axton, small business owner and blogger, Annette Gross, state coordinator for PFLAG, and Zach Adamson, who's city county councilor at large.
Yes, and we're moving on to our current events section of the program. Mark, and you wanted to talk this morning about we have a new DCS chief.
A new director of Division of Child Services. She's a former judge in juvenile court in Lake County, and she's has a lot of experience in that area of the law. She'll probably be an excellent DCS director.
And there have been a number of complaints about how DCS has been run, not only by Democrats but by Republicans as well.
Yeah, it's really been bad the last few years.
Another story that is in the news, or at least in the Indianapolis Business Journal, not in our local Indianapolis Star, is the John Bales trial.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Indianapolis paper. And we're talking about a trial.
And who is John Bales?
John Bales was like a banker in
real estate, not developer, real estate broker.
Yeah, broker and financier. It's a major trial. There's nothing about it in today's paper.
I don't think it's covered at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's absurd.
The Star.
The person being tried is innocent until proven guilty, yada, yada, yada. I believe in that completely. But this is a really important trial. It's in South Bend. It's not here, but it's an important trial. There's no coverage in the paper. This is not a good thing.
The next topic, I think one everyone might want to weigh in on the big news this week is Danny the Deer. Dan, you want to explain, Mark, what Danny the Deer?
Yes, there was a couple in Fayette County. There was a fawn that was, I think a mother deer was attacked by coyotes.
The fawn was actually attacked.
Okay, they rescued the fawn, brought her in. DNR said that was Department of Natural Resources said that was a violation of statute, and so they were going to take the deer and euthanize it.
Right.
And then
the deer, there have been a couple years of that.
Right. Yeah, right. They had it for a while, a couple of years.
And so they let the gate open, and the deer got...
we don't know.
Somebody did.
The very clever deer worked the gate.
Danny is probably still taken care of.
Yeah. So anyways, the governor at first said he was going to back DNR on what they did, and there are some excellent officers.
Investigate it more, but it's thought that originally that they made the right decision.
Yeah, but
they saved a life.
There are excellent officers in DNR, but this is an example of bureaucratic excess, and they shouldn't have done anything.
Well, let's hear from our guests on this.
Well, you've got DNR, and their job is to control nature and everything, because government is wise and human nature is so much stronger than regular nature. That's what DNR does. I mean, we let them pass these laws, and like the things. Well, it was just last year what they did up in Michigan with the feral hog problem and everything else. It's just. It's not unusual for a case like this to just happen to get popular because it was a cute little deer, but they broke the law. The people there broke the law. That's what the law is, right? You're a lawbreaker. You're a criminal. You must pay for your crime, right?
Did you cry at the end of Old Yeller?
Never watched it. I hate dogs.
Anybody who's seen Old Yeller.
I didn't see it.
Well, let's hear from Annette. Do you have any thoughts on Danny the Deer?
Well, I mean, I think the bottom line is that he was taken care of. I don't care who did it or how. I think that that's the most important thing, and I don't think that people should get in trouble for saving an animal's life. And they didn't hurt anybody.
Zach, you're big into animal welfare.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this issue?
Well, I agree with everybody here. I think it's a definite overstep, even though it's within what they were supposed to be doing and keeping track of that. But you and I, we had mentioned this before. I think we could have really seen the governor hit a home run with this by coming out very early and very forcefully saying that we're going to rectify this. just because it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Did you cry at the end of Old Yeller?
I did.
See,
I did.
Okay,
Well, did you hear the story about the man that tried to kill his gay dog?
no.
There was a
he took
story
it to
about a man
yeah,
who saw his dog humping another dog, and he concluded the dog was gay, so he took him to the vet to be euthanized. And
We
this
don't know
whole
if male dogs
big,
will
yeah.
have anything, a
So
chair,
there was a whole
toys.
internet thing about it on Facebook, and they rescued the dog. But that dog was going to be killed
No, it's-
because he was gay.
Zach, we had some interesting developments on the City County Council this week.
Couple.
I believe there was a vote on a couple tax increases. Why don't you tell us what happened and your position on those issues? It's not going to be the same as my position.
Yeah, it seems to be a very populist position, I think, inadvertently taking those positions. The council voted 16 to 12, I think it was, 16 to 12, to implement two tax increases, one for car rental tax and one for an admissions tax to sporting events.
Admissions tax to all events. So it's not just sporting events.
Sporting events. I think it's just sporting events.
I don't think that's right. I think it's all events, except for ones where you're tax exempt.
When you
like
say
a high
events,
school.
what events do
Or
you mean?
maybe you're right, not-for-profit events.
Any
where-
kind of CIB facilities you go to. If you go to a concert, I believe that admissions tax applies to that.
Oh, I
But you
see.
voted against
But
it.
I voted against both of them. And one of the things that was really interesting about it was the Indians, the Indianapolis Indians, would also be included in this tax increase. And they have never, ever come before our council, our government, and asked for any kind of subsidy or anything. And yet they're going to be hit with this tax increase as well. The people that, and I think an Indians game is one of the best entertainment values
that's
for your
awesome.
dollar. And I'm not even a baseball fan. Just the whole experience at Victory Field is just tremendous. But this money ultimately goes into the CIB. I mean, for the first year, it comes to the city for public safety use. But the subsequent years, it's going to the CIB, Capital Improvement Board.
Now, they don't have to spend it on public safety, correct?
After that, after the year,
Right.
No, they can. It says going to the CIB. They'll do
Right.
whatever.
Because I continually see it misreported that, this money's going to public safety.
So the CIB
After the
is
first year, they say it's going to.
No.
No.
It's going to the CIB, and the difficulty I have with this, the big one especially, is the Pacers just reported an $11 million profit this last year, and we just gave them $10 million last year. Yeah. So
No, they never show a profit.
they did this year.
Oh.
They did.
Oh, God.
Did they admit to a profit, or
They
did
did.
someone estimate it?
They did. And the interesting too is that I guess the Simons had bought the team for $13 million.
Yeah, they did.
Eons ago, and now they're worth over $300 million.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're still continuing to pump public dollars, scarce public dollars, into them.
It could be going someplace else.
Could be going someplace else that are desperately needing those dollars, and that's why I just couldn't support it. I'm a little upset because this was really something that was held over us as a council because of the mayor's vetoing of our budget item, the $32 million that he took out of the county general budget, which impacts only offices held by Democrats.
That's a
And,
coincidence, I'm sure.
coincidence entirely.
Why would Mayor Vaughn do something like that?
I have no idea. Because they didn't like how our budget had come out, and that was more of a retaliation. But they wanted these tax increases, and they want us to eliminate the homestead credit, which we didn't do earlier either. So this
But
was.
that's going to come back up.
It surely will. Well, they're creating a study commission, which is fine. I don't think it's ultimately going to change much. And I went into that meeting not planning to vote for either one of them, but being open to hearing what the mayor's arguments were in favor of those. And I didn't hear a compelling reason to support either one of them, especially considering how well the sports teams are doing right now.
Now, one thing, getting off track a little bit, the homestead tax credit, that's not the major homestead tax credit. There's two of them.
Right.
One's I call a local homestead tax credit, it's smaller. But they're talking about eliminating that.
Right.
And that would increase people's property taxes. So,
Well, no, it wouldn't increase everybody's property taxes. This is part of the reason why I'm opposed to it. If you look into the more affluent areas, those people have already hit their tax caps.
Right.
So even with that additional tax added to it, they're still above the 1%. So they wouldn't feel that increase, but everybody who was below that 1% would see an increase in their taxes.
But some of the Republican councilors are saying just the exact opposite.
That's
But
not-
I've seen the analysis that says
Yeah.
that that's not right. The Midtown TIF, Tax Increment Financing District, I know that came before the council, and you tried to propose an amendment to that. What was that amendment about?
Well, the amendment was to remove from the footprint of the TIF what's commonly known as the broader
And where is
parking
this
garage.
TIF?
The TIF, basically,
Go ahead.
basically College Avenue or Broader Bowl
Where?
area, straight down College Avenue across 38th Street. That's basically the TIF. And I'm a huge supporter of TIFs when used properly, when following the basic premise and guidelines for a TIF. And when those are implemented, I'm good with that. But it has to qualify for a TIF, being economically challenged, not able to act as its own catalyst. And it only should consume what it creates. And that was the intent of my amendment, was to pull from this footprint the Broadwell parking garage, which we all know the city paid for, wasn't created by the dollars put into this by the TIF, and is therefore not entitled to the property tax revenue that it generates. And we could have used that money it would take us 22 years, if it's not in the TIF, 22 years to recoup just what we invested in that Broadwell garage. And that was one of the selling points for passing that corporate subsidy, or that corporate entitlement, was that we'll at least get the property tax revenue from this. And now we won't get that property tax revenue. It'll be now going back into that TIF.
And when it goes into a TIF, the council doesn't control the spending from the TIF.
No, it's controlled by the TIF and the plans for the TIF. It goes to two things. One, to fund other development in the area, but primarily to pay off the debt service that is used to create the improvements in the area in the first place.
It doesn't go for public services?
No.
Okay.
No.
The legislature is in town, and one of the things that they've taken up that Mark and I have talked about a few times is Sunday alcohol sales. We're the last one, and I'm looking at you, but I'm not necessarily directing it towards you.
We're the last one.
And Mark, we
We're the
are.
last one on
and
everything.
the bill would allow you to buy liquor
Carry out beer on a Sunday.
Oh, wow.
on a Sunday.
Yeah.
I think Annette and I have exchanged emails on that as well.
Ever since college, I've always made it a point on Saturday to buy a case of beer, because Sunday, and that's why I was always popular in my fraternity. People knew on Sunday that I had beer on
You
Sunday.
had the foresight.
Yeah.
Go and take care of
And
business
it helped when I was running for student body president. We're almost out of time here. This has been a very, very fun show, very, very enlightening show.
Thank you.
We are streaming live from Aesop's Tables at 600 East Mass Ave in Indianapolis. Our guests have been Maya Axton, Annette Gross, and Zach Adamson. You guys, thanks very much for coming on.
Thank
Hope
you.
you'll be on again. Paul, you have a good week.
I will.
And we will be back next week at 11 o'clock on Saturday, and you can listen to us during the week on Indiana Talks. Take care.